and welcome to the second in a series of Endoxa Learning RE lessons. To see the rest of the series, check out our website or our YouTube channel. For today's lesson, we will be looking at the A-level argument that Darwin's theory of evolution challenges central Christian beliefs. It will show that the theory's account of the origin of human life contradicts the belief that humans are made in the image of God and invested with a soul. By challenging Genesis' account of creation, it also will undermine the doctrine of original sin and the belief that the natural world is a product of God's design. So let's get started and look at the first argument step. Here you can see we are going to review the key elements of Darwin's theory of evolution. Let's have a click on the eye to find out a bit more about this. The theory of evolution states that all the life on Earth has evolved over millions of years from simpler life forms by the process of natural selection. He contended that humans share a common ancestor with apes and chimpanzees, which was later supported by biologist Thomas Huxley, who pointed out the anatomical similarities between humans and apes. Darwin wrote, "Man could no longer be regarded as the lord of creation, a being apart from the rest of nature. This knowledge allows us to argue that humans have evolved over millions of years from simpler life forms, and therefore we can argue that humans were not created as beings distinct from other animals, as you can see here. From here, we can generalise to argue that the theory of evolution shows that humans were not created as beings distinct from other animals. Let's continue this argument even further by looking at how Darwin viewed the idea of the soul. As Darwin considered evolution as a purely material process, he argues that it does not accommodate ideas about the non-material soul. This is clear from the argument displayed here. That if humans were not created as beings distinct from other animals, then they were not invested with a soul. This argument step, to the right-hand side of the page here, is going to look at another crucial implication of Darwin's theory of Christianity. If humans were not made distinctly from other animals, then they were not made in the image of God. This allows us to imply that Darwin's theory of evolution suggests that humans were not made in the image of God, one of the fundamentals of Christianity. We can now bring the argument we've been looking at together to come to the conclusion here that Darwin's theory of evolution suggests that humans are neither invested with souls nor made in the image of God. This step allows us to come to the argument's overall conclusion that Darwin's theory challenges central Christian beliefs, as you can see right here at the bottom of the graph. To gain the highest marks in your essays and exams, you must create a complex argument with more than one argument strand. Let's take a look at how you could add another argument to this by looking back at the original argument step we looked at first, the step here regarding Darwin's theory of evolution. If the creation narrative is not literally true, as you've just argued, Adam and Eve were not real people. Since Darwin's theory of evolution suggests the creation narrative is not true, we can argue that the theory suggests that Adam and Eve were not real people. If we reject the story of Adam and Eve, then we can also eliminate the possibility of original sin as shown in this argument step. Let's look a bit further at this concept here of original sin. Genesis 3 describes how Adam and Eve's sin in eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil caused the whole of humanity to be cursed with original sin, as you can see here in the knowledge box. However, using Darwin's theory of evolution, we can argue that there is no original sin due to no existence of Adam and Eve. Let's build this argument even further. If there is no original sin, the redeeming death of Christ was unnecessary, as you can see here. If you want to learn a bit more about this, pause the video and have a quick read of the knowledge box on the right-hand side. If there was no original sin and the redeeming death of Christ was unnecessary, we can argue that Darwin's theory of evolution suggests the redeeming death of Christ was unnecessary. Since the importance of Christ's redeeming death is central to Christian belief, we can argue that once again Darwin's theory challenges core Christian beliefs. The final strand of this argument is going to look at the effect of evolution on the belief in God as the designer of the world. Since Darwin's theory of evolution argues that the natural world results from natural selection, we can argue that the natural world does not result from God's design. We can strengthen this argument even further by adding this supporting statement you see here with a dotted line to the left-hand side, that the abundance of evil in the world suggests that it cannot have been designed by such a loving God. If you want to know a bit more about this, have a look here and pause the video. From this argument of design, we can come to our conclusion once again that Darwin's theory of evolution poses threat to important Christian beliefs. Well done, we've completed the lesson. We have created an incredibly strong argument for Darwin's theory undermining core Christian beliefs. Here you can see the full argument graph behind this lesson, which you can use as a visual essay plan or revision tool. To see more of our visual RE lessons, head over to Endoxa Learning's blog page, and to try this interactive software at home or in class, contact us today for a free 14-day trial.